Hello everyone, this is Taranum Jahan and I'm here with you all people in order to start the new chapter from history. So let's begin the new chapter from history. So here again, Tribal Decus and the Vision of Golden Age. This is the name of the chapter from your NCERT and this is a chapter 4 of your NCERT. And the same chapter, same content has been discussed in your VIGO education too. And the chapter name over there is Colonialism and Tribal Societies. And this is again the chapter 4 of your Viva education. So both the NCERT and the Viva education is having the same chapter number with different names. So now let's begin with the chapter Life of the People in Ancient India. Today, we all lead a very comfortable life in the cities with all the facilities available to us. But do you know that there are some people who still live in the forest, known as tribal people? Well, in this chapter, we will study about some of the tribes of our country and they struggle against the Decus, which means those who were the outsiders for these tribal people. Now, who were these outsiders for these tribal people? Is nothing but the Britishers. So here the story starts with the Birsa Munda. In 1895, a man named Birsa who belonged to the Mundas tribe started gaining a popularity. Many people believed that he had a magical power with which he could cure diseases and multiply grains, because these people they have a hell of beliefs. So in that one belief was this, so he himself declared that God has appointed him to help people and safeguard their interest from the Decus, that is nothing but the Britishers. So Birsa was born in Munda tribe, which is found in the Chota Nagpur region of Jharkhand, but was also famous among the other tribes such as Santhals and Ornas. There were other tribes too. And because of his this magical power and because of his multiplying the grains, he was very famous among these tribes too. That he is being sent up by the god. He is something. He is having some magical power. So all they used to believe in this Birsa Munda. Now, why Birsa declared that he would help tribal and safeguard them from the Decus? Now, who were these Decus? These Decus were nothing but the Britishers. So, well, here the Decus is referred to as the Britishers over here. So, why did they want to safeguard themselves from the Britishers? It is because these tribes had their own way of living. This society beliefs were different from those who lived in the cities or the villages. So they felt that they were being enslaved by these Decus. To know more about them, we have to read this chapter further. So the tribal societies and the different rituals which were not similar to that of the Brahmins. They did not have any social division on the basis of caste. People belonging to same tribes often thought of sharing same kingship. So, however, these tribes had some social and economical differences. So, let's see how the tribal groups lived. Now, how did these tribal groups lived? The tribes had different way of living and their activities also were differed from each other. Like how their farming activities, their herding activities, collection of forest product, many of the things were completely varied from one tribal to the other tribal. Like if you see the Jhum cultivators, they practiced shifting cultivation. This was done on the small patches of the land within the forest by clearing them. Under this system, trees were cut from the top in order to bring sunlight to the ground. So land was cleared by burning the vegetation which was left out, because half of the only the top of the trees has been cut, whatever is left out, they burn that. Further, burning the vegetation. The ashes was scattered on the ground to increase the fertility of the land, and these seeds were scattered after the harvest. The land was left fallow in order to allow it to gain fertility, and the cultivation was done on the another piece of land. So this type of cultivator were found in the hills areas and the northeast forest and the central India. And I think we have discussed about the Jhum cultivation when we were discussing about the natural vegetation and the wildlife. So I even with the pictographical I have explained you how the Zoom cultivators work. So in the same manner, the Zoom cultivators is nothing but how they burn the half of the cut down trees in order to gain the fertility, and they just after the land gets abundant, they leave that land and again they cultivate on the next patch of the land. So these are called as the Zoom cultivators in the tribal people. Now, apart from the Jhom cultivators, many were the hunters and the gatherers. Now, let's see what the hunters and the gatherers do. In many tribes, people survive by hunting and gathering forest produce. The Khons of Orissa follows this practice. Now, the Khons are nothing but the tribals of Orissa. They dependent on the forest produce such as fruits, roots, and meat from hunting, and oil from the flowers. For medicines, they relied upon the forest shrubs and herbs, and sold the forest produce in the local markets. The weavers and the leather workers, they used to buy the palash and the kusum flowers from khons to dye their clothes and leathers. Sometimes they exchange their goods for their goods. Sometimes they used to exchange their goods for the things they were in need of, just like the barter system from goods exchange to the goods. It's nothing but the barter system. So, in some cases, they had to do the labor work also in order to earn their living. But in the same area, we even find the Baigas. Even these were the tribal people who were living in the central of India. And these Baigas were completely different from these Khonds, because these Khonds are doing the labor work in order to earn their living. But Baigas who were living in the central India, they never work for anyone. It is below their dignity for Baigas to do the labor work, as they were in the belief that they are the forest men and they are completely dependent on the forest to produce for their survival. So, why they have to do the labor work for others? So, these were the hunters and the gatherers. And some were the herders of the animals. Now, who are these herders of the animals? Some of the tribe they used to herd animals and rear cattle. They were pastoralists who moved with their cattle and sheep from one place to another after the grass of that particular land had exhausted. So the Van Gujars of Punjab and Labadis of Andhra Pradesh were the cattlers, herders. The Gaddis of Kulu were the shepherds. And Bakharwals of Kashmir, as the name suggests, they rear goats. So not all were living on the nomadic life. Some of them settled down at a particular place. So let's see about them even. So, as I said, that not all the people were living a nomadic life, that is the tribal life. Many of them have settled to the many of the places and they were leading a very good life. So, let's see about them. Some took a settled cultivation. Now, who are these people? Many of the tribal groups began settling down and they started cultivation with plow. This means now that they did not indulge in shifting cultivation. Finally, they got the rights over the land that they were cultivating. So, in the case of Munda tribe, the land was owned by the whole clan, that is, whole group, and there were only some instances where someone acquired more power than others. He was referred as a chef who is having the complete powers. He is referred as a chef in this Mundas. So now who had a special right that he could even rent out this land instead of cultivating himself? This chef. So according to the Britishers, Santhals and Gonds were more civilized than the hunters and the shifting cultivators. So those living in the forest were considered as wild and cruel. And so now we know that the tribals had different way of living. But what made them against the Dikus? Let's see. Now, how did the colonial rule affected the tribal lives? The lives of the tribal people were completely changed a lot during the British rule. Now, how it had changed completely, let's have a look at this. What happened to the tribal chief? Now, who was the tribal chiefs? The person who was having a huge land in a clan, I said in a group, The person who is having a huge land and all the powers are vested in the hands of a one person having a huge land who does not cultivate on his own land, rather he gives those land for a rent in order to cultivate on that land. That person is called as the tribal chiefs. So before the arrival of the British in many areas, these tribal chiefs had their own importance. They had some economic power and control over the territories under them. So at some places they had their own policy. During the British rule, they lost some of their powers. They were allowed to keep control over the villages and rent out the lands, but they lost their administrative power and were forced to follow the British rules. They were forced to discipline the tribal groups as per the Britishers and had to pay the tributes to the Britishers. That is nothing but the taxes to the Britishers. They lost their authority over their men and were not able to execute some of their traditional functions too. So, after this came the problem with the shifting cultivation too. Now, what happened with the shifting cultivation? The Britishers were of the view that the shifting cultivators should settle down at a fixed place. Why these people are roaming and selecting one patch of a land and burning it again, and they are cultivating on that land and again move out to the one another place and again selecting the another patch? Why these people are moving from one place to another place? Why don't they settle down at a fixed place? So they wanted them to work like a peasants cultivators, as it was easy to control and administer the settled peasants. So the Britishers wanted a regular inflow of income. So they measured the land and the fixed revenues. The rights over the lands were defined. Some of the people were declared owner and some were declared as a tenants. So now we have to read this earlier. The British efforts to settle the jhum cultivation was not very successful for the following reason. Plough cultivation was not successful in a dry areas where water was scanty, and some of them even faced a difficulty with the plough cultivation as their field did not give good yield. So therefore, jhum cultivation of the northeast insisted on shifting cultivation. The Britishers, after facing the revolt from these jhum cultivators, had to allow them to continue with the practice on some patches of the forest land. Now, what else was affecting their life was? Let's check it out. Forest law and their impact. Now the British, they gained the control over all the forest and declared them as a state property. They also formed some rules and regulations. Some forests were declared as reserve forest as the timber was needed by these Britishers. So no one was allowed to move freely in such forest. Fruits collection, animal hunting and jhum cultivation was completely banned by the Britishers now. Now, this made the life of the tribals miserable. So, they had to move to the other places in search of work. But what was that beneficial for the Britishers? Is it beneficial for the Britishers? Well, they also face the problem of non availability of the laborers, because now these people are moving out to other places. So, for their work, they have to move. Now they are not getting the laborers for their own work in this forest, such as like cutting a trees, transporting the logs which have been already cut, etc. So for this they wanted the labor, and these Britishers were not getting the labors. So they came up with an idea of providing jhum cultivators with small patch of land in the forest, with the condition of providing the laborers during their hours of need. So in many regions, forest department they established the forest villages for regular supply of cheap labors. But some of the tribes were not happy with these restrictions, and so they started disobeying the rules, which sometimes resulted into revolts even. Like Songram Sangma revolted of Assam in 1906 is one such example. Not only this, there was some other problems too. Now, what were the some other problems which were faced by these tribal people? Let's see. Now, what were the some other problems? The problems with trade. During the 19th century, many moneylenders and the traders they start dealing with the forest men for buying forest produce and sometimes by providing them with the loans. So this took some time for these tribes to understand how they got trapped in the vicious cycle of never-ending loans. For instance, Hazaribagh, a place in Jharkhand, where the Santals were asked to rear cocoons for the European traders, as Indian silk was in a high demand in the world for its superfine quality. The agent used to pay them rupees 3 to 5 for 1,000 cocoons, which was sold for 5 times the price at Gaya and Burdwan. The tribals were earning less and the middlemen were making huge profit. So, such were the reasons which made the tribal believe that these traders were their enemies. The search for work. Now, what exactly happened with the tribal people now? The life of the tribal who had to leave their homes in search of the work was very worse now. They had to work either in the tea gardens or in the mines. Their work at the mines was very difficult as sometimes they have to prove hazardous because of the low level of oxygen there. So moreover, the contractors even they used to pay them very less and did not allow them to return to their homes even. So this was how the tribal people who have moved in search of the work were suffering. Now let's see the closer look. What exactly happened? Through the 19th and the 20th century, many tribes which were against the taxes, rules, and exploitations of the Britishers and the traders rose against them and entered into the movement against them at various places, such as in a Coles in 1831 to 32. The rebel took place. Then in Santhals, 1855, the rebellion occurred there. Bastar in 1910 and Worli in 1940. These were the rebellion which has been looked after the after all these sufferings, all the tribal people they rebel against the Britishers. So these were the uprising, revolt we can say. So now let's see the Santol's rebel. And Santol's rebel was during the period of 1855. The Santhal rebellion occurred in the region of present-day Jharkhand, Orissa and West Bengal against the Britishers as well as the zamindari system from 1855 until 1856 when the movement was crushed by the Britishers. So they have struggled for 1 year but they lost it. So when the zamindari system was introduced in Bengal presidency, the British and the zamindars they claimed the traditional Santals lands as their own. So now the Santals were exploited by these landlords who charged high rates of interest to them and which was against why they have to pay their these taxes on their own houses, that is their own land. So they lost their land, they got to know that they lost their land and also turned into the bonded laborers even by these zamindars and the Britishers. So they had to suffer this extortion forcefully. Their property has been taken, they have been abusive and violence have been done by the zamindars and the Britishers. They have been cheated in the business deals. So and whatever the crops which be produced by these santals all were sold in the market at the high prices and all the profits were enjoyed by these zamindars and the Britishers. So now the first rebellion because of all these things occurred in 1854, which was led by Bhir Singh. He was from the Sasan in Lachimpur. And the second rebellion started in June 1855, which we are discussing over here. When two brothers, Sindhu and Kanhu, they organized 10,000 Santals as a group and they declared a revolt against the Britishers. All the blacksmiths and the milkmen they joined this revolt. From out of this 10,000 were among the blacksmiths and the milkmen. All the commoners they joined this revolt against the Britishers. They killed many money lenders and the company agents. The revolt was very intense and massive in scale. But what exactly happened? The Santals community, they celebrate the day of rebellion to this day. But the revolt was violently suppressed by these Britishers by killing 20,000 of the Santals by the Britishers, as these Britishers are having the high technique weapons, and these Santals were having a primitive way of fighting these rebels, so they could not stand in the war or rebel against the Britishers, because of which they lost the rebel against these Britishers. Now Birsa Munda. Munda revolt was one of them, which was led by Birsa Munda. So let's see who was Birsa Munda and what was he, what he did in order to free the tribal people from the Britishers. Birsa Munda was born in the mid 1870s in the house of a poor father. He grew up grazing sheep. Forced by poverty, his family had to move from place to place in search of work. During his teenage, he experienced many things, such as he heard tales of Munda uprising and a leader urging for revolt, tales of golden age when the Munda was not exploited by the Dikus, that there was a descendant of an original settler of the land fighting for their own land. So in the missionary school, he heard that the Mundas could regain their rights if they leave their bad habits. He also had spent some time under the Vaishnav preachers who worshipped Lord Vishnu, and he began to value the importance of purity of life, a feeling of regaining his rights, and he started cultivating in him. So, therefore, he started urging his people to follow certain things, so that now, if you follow, if you purify your soul, then you will definitely be free from these dekus. So, what all guidelines he started giving to his people? Let's see. Now, the reaction of the Britishers. Why the Britishers? They started feeling that this Birsa can be a problem for them. What were the guidelines given by the Birsa to his people? Why the Britishers felt that he can create a problem? Let's see. Munda, he said that why don't you villagers stop drinking liquor and purify your soul and stop believing in other things? Concentrate on what you exactly wanted now. So he said that he asked that these landlords, these missionaries, these deacons, they are the outsiders and they are no one to rule on us. This is our place. This land is ours. And why these people are ruling on us? We have to throw them out. So he, in 1895, he urged the tribe to recover their glorious past, where the Mundas lived a very good life. They practiced cultivation, planted trees, orchards, and lived honestly. Why don't we get back these days again? So we have to work on it in order to get those backs again. So Birsa wanted his men to live that life again, where there was a peace and honesty. So he wanted to keep a missionaries, that landlords, Britishers out of his region, and wanted to establish his own Raj over there. Because of which these Britishers, they got worried. So they decided to act against it. And to curb it down, they arrested Birsa in 1895. And in 1897, he was released because he was just put in jail for 2 years, and after that he was again released in 1897, and after his release he started again touring the villages to gather support. So he symbolized Britishers as Ravana, and he urged the people to destroy them in order to establish his own kingdom. So the followers of Birsa, they targeted many churches and the police stations, and they destroyed them as they belonged to the Dikus. So they also raised a white flag as a symbol of Birsa Raj. But again in 1900, Birsa died due to cholera, and the movement somehow came to an end. But this movement was relevant to the two reasons. It forced the colonial government to make laws so that the land of the tribal could not be taken away easily by these decus. It showed the capacity of the tribes to protest and show their anger against the injustice. And they did this by inventing their own ways and symbols. Now, next is the Khasi Rebellion. The Anglo-Khasi War was started in the year 1829 to 1833, and this was also called as the independence struggle between the Khasi people and the British Empire. Now, why it is called as the independence struggle? During that period, these Britishers they occupied the Burmese, the large area of the hilly regions, which was called as Garo and Jayanti Hills. These Jayanti Hills and Garo was the area where these Khasi people were living as a tribals there. So now the Garo in intention of why they have occupied this place, the Garo and the Jayanti Hill. The Britishers' intention was to build a road linking the Brahmaputra Valley so that they can have a good trade through them, so that the entire length of the Khasi domain can become under their control. And who was building this construction of the road? The laborers were the nothing but these Khasi people. But this construction of the road and linking it with the Brahmaputra Valley was against the rules of the Khasi people. So there was one leader called Tirut Singh. He was a Khasi chief there. So he attacked many of the Britishers and he disobeyed even the orders of these Britishers. And after the long harassing and fighting, these Khasi people at last they got defeated by the Britishers and the Britishers gained supremacy over those areas. So whichever revolt we are studying, though there was a great massive attack by the tribal people, but because of the traditional techniques of attacking led to their loss. So here even the Khasi rebellion lost the war with the revolt with Britishers in the year 1833. Then comes Yukiang Nagba. He came up with the revolt in 1860. Now Yukiang Nagba was a freedom fighter from the Meghalaya who led an uprising against the Britishers. But again at last, though he came up with a fire, but at least he was hanged by the Britishers publicly in Jawai town in West Janatia Hills district, and that too in the year 30th December 1862. So all the rebellions they came up with a massive fire, but at last they ended up with a defeat by the Britishers. So this is what the some of the revolt which have taken place by the tribal people in India against the rules and regulations which were made by the Britishers, and the tax collection, and the way they were occupying their complete uh, forest areas, and all their traditional their cultures were completely killed by these Britishers, because of which this rebel came up. And though this rebel came up with a massive fire, but they lost it due to the traditional techniques of fighting. Patugan Sangma. This is one of the rebel which has been taken place by Patugan Sangma in 1872. This why it is called as Pato Sangama. Sangama is a tribal people who were living, and the person name is Patogan Ninjminja. So this was the name of a person who has attacked the Britishers in order to gain the independence from them. But anyhow, because of the technique, the tribal techniques of attacking, they lost the war with the Britishers. But how he attacked? Why? What is the reason attacking him? So in 1872, when the Britishers they came up to Garo Hills, in the East Garo Hills, they came up to occupy these hills where this Sangma was living, these Sangma tribals were living. So they got to know that now these Britishers have come over here in the East Garo Hills in order to uh, conquer these places. So it is better, why don't we attack them and just ask them, just throw them out of these Garo Hills. So this Patogan, he made a plan that why don't we attack these Britishers when they are asleep. So he, along with many of the Sangam warriors, the Patogam warriors, he attacked these Britishers when they were asleep. So while the sleeping Britishers, when they were attacked, there was a howl of cries and the shoutings everywhere, because of which there's other side, the Britishers, those who were sleeping, they got to know about the sudden attack by these Patogam warriors, and they stood suddenly and they came up with a war with this Patogam. In that crisis of the war between this Patogam and the Britishers, the Patogam died on the spot on the first attack by the Britishers, as they were using the traditional technique of the war, and these people were having a technical weapons in order to use on these warriors. So these people, they died on the spot, and moreover they just lost this rebel. So though they have come up with a massive attack, but they lost it. So now what exactly the effect of this uprising came? The effect of this uprising came that the British made the law stricter. They became more strict, that now these people are raising the voices just because of our rules and regulations. Now we have to be a bit of strict so that the money lenders could not exploit the tribes. So now they said that why they have come up with a rebel, because they were exploited by the moneylenders with the high taxes. So they said that again this rebel should not happen. So it should be better that we should be very strict towards the moneylenders so that they don't exploit this tribal people by charging the high taxes, and they should not snatch their lands. Let them be the land owners, give them the land, so that again these things should not happen. The grip of these tribal people, those who are working as a labor, should not go out of this Britishers hand. So now they became a quite normal that they became stricter towards the money lenders now, rather than becoming stricter towards the tribal people. It showed the power of the tribal. Now it shows that, what it shows, that yes, the tribal has shows the power on them. That is the reason why the Britishers are changing the rules and regulations now. Now they are tightening up the money lenders, and they also fight for their rights and could be heard. So now they have raised a voice again, for not against the tribe this time. Now they have raised a voice for the tribal people, that the taxes should not be levied high on these people, and you should not snatch their land. So now we were seeing the positive sides of the Britishers after this tribal attack. So this shows that yes, the tribal attacks have really changed the Britishers mentality in order to change the rules and regulations in the favor of tribal people. So this revolt has really helped a lot, though we have lost, but in this loss we can see our winning to that, because of which they have changed certain rules and regulations. Now these are some of the questions from your Viva Education. Try to answer it with the help of this PPTs.